ecofictologists. My name is Lovis, and today I want to review a book I just finished called Trails in the Sand by PC Zick. In my video last week, I used this book as an example of using parallel storylines to keep the reader's interest in between sections of scientific detail, so I thought, perfect time to give you a book review about it. I picked this one up after searching for ecofiction with a focus on conservation, which is something I really want to see more of in ecofiction. I think ecofiction can really create an emotional connection to wildlife and make us care about the effect that we are having on their survival, not just because of climate change, but also because of habitat destruction, illegal trafficking, and the pet and tourism trade. This book focuses on pollution as an anthropogenic impact and sheds some light on those amazing people working to conserve, protect, and rehabilitate wildlife under threat. Right, we are prepped, we are comfortable, we are ready, so let's get into it. A short, spoiler-free summary of this book. Environmental journalist Caroline Stokely-Carlisle juggles the emotional roller coaster of her very dramatic and toxic family life with the devastating aftermath of the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. She researches the effects that it has on Florida wildlife, namely the sea turtle that comes back every year to nest on its beaches. She reports on the developments of the oil spill as well as the conservation actions taken to protect the turtle eggs due to hatch into oil-slicked waters. Now, remember that while I am now a more broad ecologist, I started out as a marine biologist, so anything to do with the ocean, it has a very warm and fuzzy place in my heart. I remember the BP oil spill happening in 2010. It was physically painful to watch the news coverage of the oil spill and to think about the effects that it would be having on the marine environment. One of the reasons I think Trails in the Sand works as a communications tool is that it is based on real-life events. People will remember the BP oil spill. They'll remember watching it on the news, they'll remember hearing about it on the radio, reading about it in the newspaper. I mean, it was awful. So we have history and we have emotions already attached to this event. Put that in your narrative and you have a ready-made shared experience with your reader that can give you a jumping off point for you to explore anything else that you want to talk about. The best way to hook your reader is by initializing a why do I care moment, either through a situation they can relate to or through a shared experience. When I was reading Trails in the Sand, I felt all of those emotions that I felt in 2010, and it added a layer of depth to the story. You remember this happening and the author is like, okay, we're on the same page. I've got you. But I'm now going to take you over here and I'm going to tell you all about the conservation efforts that you didn't even know happened. Quick science interlude. Female sea turtles come back to the same beaches where they were born to nest and lay their own eggs. Something is coded into their instincts to make them return to this particular place, and that makes them very vulnerable to change. Many of these beaches are being developed for hotels or just into those lovely white sandy beaches that tourists love so much. These beaches are no longer safe for the turtle eggs, but the turtles don't know that. So in Trails in the Sand, when the BP oil spill happens, everyone who knows about this foresees the dangers to sea turtles swimming through oil-slicked waters and trying to lay their eggs on polluted beaches. The author alerts the reader to this fact very early on and draws out the same tension we felt when it was really happening. How long can this go on? How much oil is going to spill into the marine environment? But then adds on more questions. Is that storm going to change the currents enough to wash the oil on shore? Are turtle eggs going to drown in oily, poisonous water? The tension is killing me! Talking about conservation in literature is tricky, I think, because, well, my word, it is depressing. There are very few success stories that make the news, and it's so easy to get down in the dumps about this stuff. But Trails in the Sand is a story about taking action, about using whatever platform you have, and maybe getting a bit creative with the help that you give. Even though the crisis is sad and difficult, focusing on the action you can take is, I think, a really healthy and positive response, and one that I think we could learn a lot from. Now, apart from conservation, this book also serves you a range of different issues, difficult topics like mental health and eating disorders, abusive family dynamics, and the effect that these can have on our sense of worth and our self-identity. These are topics that should be more represented in literature. Often people in these situations will look for representation in the media they consume to find ways of dealing with their own lives and to feel less alone. And it's really important to give them a positive model of hope. So I applaud PC Zick on that. That being said, since I did read this book for the environmental aspect, every time it turned back to family drama, I was like, no, bring back the sea turtles, I want the sea turtles. But by the end, I was also drawn in to the family drama, and girl, the drama. This is a balance that eco-fiction subgenres need to hit. Not everybody wants to read a book about how the oil spill killed thousands of animals and completely changed the ecosystem of the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, probably very few people want to read that book. That is depressing stuff. So I understand the need for different narratives to give the reader a breather. Additionally, the hope for ecofiction as a genre is to influence the people who are on the fence or who just need a little nudge in the right direction or who are maybe completely unaware of the issue. These people are not going to pick up a book solely on the devastation of sea turtle populations, but they might pick up a book about messy family drama and romance. So we've got to mix it into the narrative and be a little bit of a ninja about it. So I get it. This is a really difficult balance to hit. I, as probably an extreme case of wanting very environmental storylines, am probably harder to engage with these parallel narratives, but PC Zick, you wily creature, you had me by the end. I was really wanting to know how all of those loose ends were going to be tied up. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this review of Trails in the Sand by PC Zick, and I hope I've made you think about the way that conservation is portrayed in literature, the trickiness of it, but also the necessity for it. If you know of any more book titles that focus on conservation, I would love to hear about them, read them, review them, so leave those down in the comments below. If I do decide to review them on this channel, I will give you a shout out for your recommendation. My TBR list is very, very long, so any indication from you about what should come first is highly appreciated. Let me know any thoughts you have about this video and what I've discussed in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And maybe hit that subscribe button and that like button, and yeah, I'm asking you to do a lot, but help a girl out. That's all from me, ecofictologists. See you next week.